Hi, Colin Miller here, and today we're going to do a very quick run through, about 5 minutes, of setting up Turnitin in your Vision Blackboard courses. This is a very quick run through, so you assume that you've logged in, you've got edit mode on, and you pick your course and the course content area that you are looking to add your submission to. The grey boxes here hold Turnitin assignment, which will bring up the Turnitin menu. If you haven't got any existing Turnitin submissions on your course, then you will not see this page and you will skip directly through. But make sure for the first one you set paper assignment when you see that. Give it a title. Set the dates. Bear in mind that times are GMT, so if you're UK based, then you'll have to knock an hour. If you're in Dubai, Malaysia, then you'll have to take your timings accordingly. And put in the deadline, so it's going to be 3 PM because the GMT offset. It gets a bit confusing if the clocks change back over an assessment period, but never mind. Post date, there is the marking system, which we're not going to be using in this example. If you do plan to use it, then look elsewhere for some instructions there. Even if you're not going to use it, you still have to set the time to beyond that of the due date. You'll get some warnings. The optional settings there, ensure that you've clicked on that. Just double check if you've set it up before in your course, then you might have defaults that aren't appropriate. This is your final submission. Please submit your final dissertation only. You can add other stuff in there if you feel relevant, but that will show up back on the Blackboard page. Do you want your submissions after due date? Yes. Do you want to generate original reports? Yes. First report is final? Yes. These settings here you can change at a later date, but they will affect what your students see, and you can take your best common sense there. If you want to go for including them or not, entirely up to you. As an instructor, you can change them when you're on reports at a later stage. Do you want the students to see the reports? Yes. Reveal grades, it's only, again, this post date is only for marking online. You do want to submit the papers, otherwise they will not be checked against future work submitted. You're not using grade mark, so you don't need a rubric. And happy to save your defaults? Yes. Pressing the submit button, then press the OK button, and that takes us back into our Blackboard course page, and we will see that our dissertation final submission is here. So that's for the final submission. Creating a draft is very similar. Back to the grey assessment box, press Turnitin assignment. This time we're given the options to have a revision assignment. This is what we're looking for. Click into revision assignment. If you do have existing Turnitin submissions on your course, then please do make sure that you are basing the revision assignment on the correct one. This is particularly important if you're sharing courses with other campus. Your start date, again, will not take, you have to enter that individually, so I'm not going to hour off that so it's available. And the due date, I am going to keep it running right up until the last minute. You can adjust that as you see fit, as long as you're telling the students when it stops, then you shouldn't be into trouble. Again, post date, and this is draft. You could go on to add that it's a draft exercise, that they will only receive one report in any 24-hour period. They can submit more than once in a 24-hour period, but only the first report submission in that 24-hour period will generate a similarity paper for them to have a look at. And this is important here. We do want our students to be able to overwrite reports, otherwise they'll only have one opportunity to submit a draft. And for this quick run through, we're not going to go into anything more complicated than that. So we want the students to see the report. Press the submit button, click OK, and there we see dissertation final submission revision 1. If you do not see revision 1, then you have set up a secondary master submission. So delete it and make sure you check revision exercise. It will automatically place this revision 1 text, revision 2, depending on how many set up, but that will be the indicator that it allows the students to submit without it being submitted into the main repository, so that it will not be checked against their later final submission. That's the important part of it. And that's it. That is a relatively quick run through of how to set up Turnitin both for final submission and for a draft submission. And if you want to look at in more detail, there is another video, it's about 12 minutes or so, then please look through that. It goes into a bit more detail about each of the options. Thanks very much.